Hello, everybody, and welcome to Tour Pro Talks. It's great to be back after a lovely long holiday. And I'm especially excited to welcome our special guest today, Ashley Weinaug. Ashley is an experienced luxury hospitality marketer who has a love for all things social media. And, hello, Ashley, I should say.
Hello. Good to see you. I'm excited to chat with you.
Yeah, I'm really excited as well. I mean, I think this will be so helpful for me as well as all of the guests, I'm sure. And I should reintroduce myself. I'm a little bit rusty, as you can see, after my holiday. I'm Genevieve White. I'm a travel and tourism copywriter and a copy coach as well. And welcome to all of our lovely audience. It's great to have you with us, either if you're watching live or if you're watching on replay afterwards. Now, I know that so many of you are going to have questions about social media. Do please feel free to put them in the comments. Actually, I'm going to start by asking you guys a question. And the question is, if we could wave a magic wand and solve all of your social media woes, what would you like us to fix? What one social media problem, issue, frustration would you like to fix? And maybe by the end of today's Tour Pro Talks, thanks to Ashley here, you'll be en route to solving that problem. So, okay, let's get started with some questions. So, Ashley, I thought it might be nice to begin just by talking a little bit about your favorite social media platforms, why you love them, and what you do with them.
Yeah, definitely. So there are so many platforms out there. It's very overwhelming. I know Jenny and I were just talking about it, but I think obviously the one that comes first of mind across all industries, but especially the travel and hospitality space, is Instagram. It's just the king, really. It started and was one of the first ones. So, it really has just taken off and continued to grow. So I'd say Instagram is definitely one of my favorites, just given how much they're testing different fun platform features like quizzes and polls and the introduction of Reels, which everyone knows and loves now. So that's definitely a top one, especially for discoverability. And then TikTok as well, a bit controversial, especially in the States where I'm from, with the looming TikTok ban potentially. But again, it's a great platform for discoverability. I'm one of those people that loves to plan a trip and have that, Google sheet with all of the details on it. And so I constantly spend time on TikTok and on Instagram just searching for recommendations. So really just that word of mouth, hidden gems, secret spots, and things like that. And those two are truly the new search tool. Like, there's Google, but people want something a little bit more visual. So I'd say those two are my favorite.
Excellent. Yeah. I mean, from what I've seen, we should say hello to Holly.
Hello.
We talk further. Who says hello from the dentist? Oh, Holly, I hope you're not in any pain or discomfort. And thanks very much for listening in from the dentist. So your dentist will be learning about social media best practice as well.
It's important for dentists too.
Instagram and TikTok, I mean, both really important platforms. I mean, I'm on Instagram myself, so I know how well used it is by travel professionals. I mean, yeah, all you're saying here, some of the different features that you can use to get people engaged. I mean, I wonder if we could maybe talk a wee bit about that, because some people might just not feel very comfortable about how to really create engagement on Instagram.
Yeah, of course. So like I said, there's so many different tools, and Instagram will really reward you with prioritizing your content in people's feeds if you're using those tools. So the head of Instagram, Adam Mosseri, if you don't follow him, definitely give him a follow. He highlights, I think it's once a week, once a month, his favorite creator or account. And one of the things that he continuously says is, I picked this person because they're using Instagram's features and testing out all the different things. There used to be things like Instagram guides. Those have gone away now, unfortunately. I personally love them. But there are, private broadcast channels that you can join for your favorite creator, or even tourism boards. That's a great way to share kind of behind the scenes local recommendations, is creating a private group, and you have that one-to-one communication with people that are interested in visiting your destination or your hotel, for example, and really just using the platforms to their advantage. Yes, you want to be posting on them, but I think the big key piece here for people in the travel space is listening to what their followers are saying.
Mhm.
So community management is like my number one golden thing. And that's just as basic as reactive community management. So responding to messages, responding to comments, but then there's also a proactive piece. So looking at location tags, looking at hashtags, people that are looking to visit a destination, looking to book a hotel, tap into those and insert your brand, insert your company, insert yourself in a way that feels authentic. And you're building those connections in a very natural and organic way. Another thing that is important, especially when it comes to engagement on platforms, is video. Everyone loves video. Holly, who's here, she did a chat with you a couple of weeks back about the power of video, and it really, truly is so important, especially on platforms like TikTok and Instagram. YouTube Shorts, I feel like, are starting to come back too as well. So it really lets people get a true understanding of what your destination, what your hotel, what your offering is like, from that first perspective point of view, So, and I think everyone kind of gets a little nervous or scared when you say video. They're like, oh, like I don't have, the equipment to create these amazing videos, or I don't know how to edit or cut or piece together a video. But it can be as simple as taking your phone, holding it up, getting a simple shot of, the waves crashing or someone going by, or just like a scene in front of like a restaurant or a museum. And those videos honestly perform the best. People love a very aesthetic video that showcases the destination from a unique point of view. So don't be afraid about video.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really good point, and I think it is something that really worries a lot of people, especially if you're looking, a lot of Instagram, you do look around and everything does look very professionally filmed, doesn't it? But, you can really suffer from comparisonitis. But it's probably a lot better to just, as you say, film something short and simple than have nothing at all.
Yeah, and people are craving that authenticity, like yes, people resonate and love, especially if you're talking about the luxury side of hospitality, those very highly produced, stunning videos. But for some smaller brands, destinations, people really like to see the behind the scenes. They want to know what's going on. They want to or hear stories from locals and things like that. So I think like go for it. Like I work with a lot of hotels that we're not physically there on property, so we can't do photo shoots and video shoots for them, but we send them a shot list, and we either get a local creator to come in and create that content, or their head of marketing will grab some of those content pieces. But it is such a powerful piece. And there's another piece as well, which I feel like is super important and going to be just all over social platforms if you haven't seen it already, but just the power of AI. So there's so
Mm.
many tools out there now, and this may be a question later on, so I might be jumping ahead, but there are so many tools out now when it comes to planning and booking a stay, a destination you've never been to. Maybe you have your hotel you want to go to, but you're looking for activities, you're looking for tours, you're looking for restaurants. You can now literally type into an app and say, hey, I'm going to London, these dates. I love adventure and I'm a foodie. And it'll give you a full itinerary. Some of my favorites, there's of course things like ChatGPT and Google's Gemini, which are just basically that you ask a question, it'll give you a question or give you a response back. but there are some that are specific to the travel space. So I definitely want to name drop them. Layla is a big one. It's an AI trip planner, and they pull their information from things like booking.com, from Skyscanner. If you guys are familiar with Beautiful Destinations with Jeremy Jouncey, he backs this platform and he's a part of it. He's a co-founder, so that's a big one. And then they also do partnerships with TripAdvisor, with Kayak, with Viator. So a lot of those tour groups, they're pulling that data into their app for people that are looking to book. And then one of my favorite ones is called Mind Trip, and it is an insane experience. You literally type in a place, or what you can do is you can take, and again, this is the power of social media. You can take a link to a TikTok video that you saw, to an Instagram reel, drop it in there and say, hey, create me an itinerary based off of this specific video. And it will pull, 7-day trip. It'll show you it on a map. It'll give you hotel recommendations. It'll give you restaurants. It does the entire thing for you. So I think if you are in the travel space, looking into AI and how you can incorporate that into your offering is so important, especially this day.
So many possibilities there. If any of you are watching and thinking, oh, I don't have a pen, or trying to frantically copy down what Ashley's saying, don't worry, because I will be writing a summary of our chat and it will be coming out in the newsletter next Tuesday or Wednesday. I've been away for so long, I can't even remember when my own newsletter comes out, but it will be there at some point next week. Hello to Sandra joining from Edinburgh, and Holly. Holly, you must be having a really easy time at the dentist, I think. Says yes to the power of video, and YouTube Shorts have incredible reach right now as they battle with TikTok. Okay, good. Going back onto, we've spoken a little about Instagram. Let's talk a little bit now about TikTok, because I think that for many people, now I'm thinking especially people who are maybe more in my age bracket, let's say, TikTok is, the word overwhelm pops up a lot with social media, and that's exactly how I feel when I go on to TikTok and even think about getting involved there. And I know I'm not the only one. I know that many of the tour professionals I've spoken to say they feel exactly the same about TikTok, but they know the possibilities that are there. So have you got any advice for travel professionals, for tour guides, tour operators, how they could get started on TikTok, how they could ease themselves in without freaking out?
Yeah, I get it. I totally understand. TikTok can be intimidating, but there are definitely so many benefits to TikTok that outweigh looking at other platforms like an Instagram, like a Facebook, like a Pinterest. First and foremost, their algorithm. I hate that word because I hate it on Instagram. That's my answer. If I could wave my magic wand, I would get rid of the algorithm or change it. It's frustrating, but TikTok's algorithm is so intelligent. You talk about something, you see it on your TikTok feed. You search one thing, and then it's giving you all these other recommendations. It really gets to know you and what you're interested in. And so that, in turn, is going to be providing you really helpful content when you're searching for something. So to getting started on TikTok, I would say one of the big things that I've been seeing a lot as a trend across markets, especially, the travel space, but with brands as well, and CPGs, is putting a personality to a brand. Or if you're a tourism company, if you're a luxury travel advisor, putting a name and a face to that. People don't want to follow your business. They want to follow you. And so I think that's really important and a good opportunity on TikTok. They want to see that full journey. They want to be able to connect with you. They want to hear from you. They want, again, leaning into that authenticity piece. But people, in the end, they want to buy from people that they like and they resonate and they connect with. And so I think easy ways to create TikTok videos is you can do a photo of something and you have a video, if you're comfortable with it, doing a voiceover speaking, and you're in the front of the video. That has been all over my TikTok lately is different organizations putting a face to it. I think some people that do it well that I would recommend taking a look at. Fora Travel. They are a luxury travel group. They're travel advisors, and they just went through a massive rebrand. And I think when we hear the word travel advisor, we think like, at least for me, like back in like my mom and dad's age, they go to a little shop. There's a person with like a big old computer, and they're like, "Okay, I'll book you this trip," and then that's
For those.
but now it's insane. I booked my first trip with a Fora agent, and the process is free for them to book you a trip. And they will say, "Hey, we work with this hotel, this hotel, this hotel. Here are some recommendations of places to go nearby." And then you get perks booking through them. They also have a lot of connections with local tour providers, which is really helpful. So that's good for those tour pros to get connected with some of those luxury travel agents. But what they do really well on social media, on Instagram and on TikTok, is they have some of their luxury, their travel advisors do those videos where they're on the screen and they're showing hotels in the background, or they're showing destinations, or they're doing a destination guide and walking through their favorite, beaches in Menorca or something like that. So I think that's a really important piece is kind of reminding yourself you don't need to post like your typical video content on TikTok. It's important to test and learn and try different things. And so you could do something just as easily in that vein of things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as looking around and seeing what other people are doing is such a good idea. Seeing what works for other people and then seeing how you can adapt it to your own brand.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the names you've shared with us in this session so far are going to be a great starting point for some of the audience. So that's really helpful. On the subject of brand building,
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about that, because that's something that's absolutely crucial, isn't it? Like creating a consistent, positive, strong brand identity on social media. I'm wondering if you've got any tips for how tourism professionals can go about brand building, especially maybe if they're like across a couple of different social media channels.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is an important piece. People do want consistency. So it's important to make sure that if you're going to take the route of going on multiple platforms, to make sure that it's a consistent experience. Your voice is the same. Your visual aesthetic is the same. Obviously, you need to play to the platform's features and their best practices, but you should have that consistent brand narrative across all. So something that I do with all of my clients, all of my hotels and restaurants and destinations that I've worked with, when I'm onboarding with them, they may have a brand book that has things like their logo, their fonts, their brand colors. And I know this is for, bigger established hotel brands. So tour operators and travel professionals may not have this, but I then take that and I put it into a social media playbook. And it's basically like your brand Bible. It has what your voice is like. It has your content pillars. What type of content are you posting about? It has the approach to user generated content. I always recommend an 80-20 split. So 80% owned content, 20% user generated content to build those connections. It has a whole mix of different items in there. And one thing that I think is really helpful and something I do when I'm onboarding with new clients, it's a fun little activity, is visualizing your brand as a person. So what celebrity comes to mind from their voice, from the way that they talk, the way that they act. And that I think is the easiest way to find consistency across the type of things that you're sharing about. So maybe your person is Oprah Winfrey, for example. She's very inspirational. She loves to read. She loves to garden. She's like a power woman. So how can we make sure the narrative that we're posting and what we're talking about feels like it's coming from Oprah? So that's a fun little thing to think about. Like, who is your brand?
I love that idea. I'm actually going to have difficulty concentrating, I think, now, because I'll just be spending the rest of this thinking, who's my brand celebrity? I'll
Yeah.
have to think about that later though and shelf that for now. Anyway, we have Gabor Sabo from Budapest saying most people do not take the time to read. You are right, video is the most powerful tool. Yeah, video is extremely powerful. Not sure how I feel about people not taking the time to read, being a copywriter and all. But yeah, moving on. Thanks for your comment, Gabor. Yeah, I think we all agree definitely on the importance of video.
Yeah.
Um,
I
all right.
do think though with Gabor's note, it's important to speak to different audience types and make sure your content can resonate to them. So using things like subtitles. So maybe someone that has some sort of issue with hearing, but they're reading it. I think making sure that you're making that your content is inclusive to all those types of people are important.
Yeah, absolutely. And as well as inclusivity, I mean, I know I'm often looking at my phone on silent because I don't want to disturb other people. So then that's when captions become
Yeah.
also important as well. Yeah. Okay. Oh, right, good. We still got plenty of time. Let's talk about increasing engagement for a little bit as well, because that's really
Mm,
important. I mean, a lot of, especially like at the beginning, when people are starting out on social media, there's a big drive to build followers, get your follower count up. But increasingly, I think people are becoming aware of the importance of, building community, building engagement. Now, I think you've already touched on in Instagram some of the, platform specific features to help with engagement. But do you have any other maybe more general tips for how people can increase engagement among their follower count?
Yeah, so we talked a lot about video. That's really the easiest way to get that reach and engagement. And then there's some kind of dead giveaways that are easy, like things like actual giveaways. Those I kind of am cautious with because you can get a big spike in followers and then lose them the next day after they realize they didn't win. But that is a great way to jump up engagement and following. Same with working with influencers, which we'll talk about a little bit more, but picking the right types of influencers that align with your brand is a great way to reach a new audience and drive up engagement.
Mm.
Collaborative posts, that's a really good feature on Instagram. So that's when you see your post is shared to both your page and whoever you decide to collaborate with. So
Yeah, I've seen that. Can I ask you a bit more about that? How would you actually go about doing that? Because I know
yeah,
it's really popular with tour operators.
yeah, absolutely. So oh, it's
Sorry, I
perfect.
thought that was my phone.
No, sorry. I'm just gonna put that on mute mode. So a super simple tool to use on Instagram, and I believe they're looking to do it on TikTok as well eventually. But when you are going to share a post, you in the settings of your post before you actually share it, you can mark the post as a collaborative post. So you can invite, I think it's up to 6 different accounts. We do this a lot with, I work with a couple different hotel groups that they have the main brand account, but then each hotel has their own hotels channels. So sometimes we'll do a collaborative post with some of their properties to get some additional awareness of brand between property. But you just send them an invite and then that account has to accept it. And when they accept it, it shows up on both of your feeds. You both get to see the insights and analytics for it. And at the top, it has both of your names as well. So that's a great way to drive followers and just overall awareness to your page from a like-minded account. Um,
Mm.
definitely
Yeah,
recommend that.
yeah, it's brilliant. I mean, collaboration is always good,
Yeah.
for so many reasons, but that's an excellent idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, do experiment with that if you're watching and let us know how you get on. Now,
Yeah.
we'll move on
There's,
now because time sadly is starting to run out, but still happy to take any questions if you've got any questions you'd like to ask. But while we wait for you to flood in with your questions, we'll have a little chat about influencers because I think
yeah.
that's something really interesting to talk about. So first of all, Can you maybe just, if anyone's maybe like unfamiliar, everyone I'm sure will have heard of influencers, but why would a tour operator or travel company consider partnering with an influencer? And what should they consider? Should
Yeah.
they take into consideration when considering a partnership?
Yeah, I think influencer collaborations almost have a little bit of a negative stigma these days. It can seem very transactional. As an influencer comes, they collaborate, they get their free stay or they get their free trip, and then they post and they leave and they never talk about it. So when I approach influencer collaborations, I like to do it from a relationship perspective. So it's not just a one-time exchange. I want to make sure the influencer is getting something out of this and the brand is getting something as well. And now the world of influencers has expanded. So it was just your typical influencer, but now we have creators who maybe don't have that high follower count, but they're creating incredible content. So they could come in and create content for you, but not necessarily post that to get millions of views. And then there's things like tastemakers, key opinion leaders, etc. So when it comes to just like the general term of influencers, there's a lot of things to keep into consideration. And for professionals and tourism boards and things like that, they really are incredibly beneficial for a number of reasons. So, of course, there's to reach a new audience. So that's why you want to make sure who you're talking to and collaborating with is aligned with your brand. And making sure that they have a quality following. So a lot of people will look at an influencer and they're like, oh, they have 600,000 followers. They have 1 million followers. Like, let's collaborate with them. But I almost look at the followers last. Yes, they want to have a good amount of following, but I always value quality over quantity when it comes to influencers. So that's an important piece to keep in mind. And then for me, some agencies that I work with, we use different tools. So, your typical, if you're just running a bit more of a small scale collaboration, you might not have access to tools where you're able to dive into that influencer's credibility score or their look-alike audiences or things like that. So if you're just looking at the influencer's page and trying to say, okay, is this the right fit for me? Should I do this? It's good to take a look at, I always go to their reels and see how many views they're getting. So at
Mm.
the end of the day, I think you want to figure out, do I want to do this collaboration with an influencer to get reach and grow my followers? Or is it more of a content play and you want to collaborate with them to create beautiful content that you can then repurpose? That's something that I did when I worked with the Cuba Travel Network. We invited 2 influencers out to come and shoot content, so then we could then repurpose it on our social channels. So definitely be weary when it comes to how you approach your influencers. Think about what those benefits are, because at the end of the day, you want to make sure you have some sort of ROI from this. Yes, maybe you're giving them a free trip, you're giving them a free hotel stay, but what are you getting in return? Is it that content piece or is it awareness? Is it followers? But looking at those in a very authentic way versus transactional way, I think is really important piece.
That's excellent advice. And I mean, I think in a way that applies really to, across social media. When you're doing something, you really have to be clear what your purpose is. There's no
Yeah.
point there in just like doing something for the sake of it. You should do everything mindfully, whether you're making a post or collaborating with an influencer or, whatever you do, it should be mindful and purposeful. Okay. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this. We're about to run out of time, but I'm going to squeeze in 2 more really cheeky, quick
Yeah.
questions. Okay, so this last one is kind of a biggie. But just if you could tell me your top do and your top don't for social media.
So
Well,
many things.
I
Okay.
know it's hard,
So
isn't it? Or you can give a couple. I mean, I'm not going to be too strict.
yeah, I mean, I think dues, just going back to the word authenticity, just making sure that you're sharing about personal experience, personal stories. People want to connect on social media at the end of the day. They don't want to be sold to, they don't want to be marketed to. They want to have that connection. So making sure you're taking advantage of those one-to-one conversations that you can have with people through community management, and just, having that authenticity piece. In terms of don'ts, I would say don't. I think one thing that a lot of people, especially services, hotels, are afraid of, negative feedback, which obviously is a blow to the gut. You never want to get negative feedback, but it's just as important as the positive feedback. So you don't want to ignore that. You want to look at it as an opportunity um, to change that situation. So, and again, coming from that authentic point of view of saying, hey, like, we hear you, we see you. People want to be recognized when they're leaving those messages. Sometimes there's those people that just want to be a troll, and so you can ignore or hide those. But 9 times out of 10, it's someone that took the time to leave a message about their experience. And so take advantage of that. Say, hey, thank you so much for leaving this. We're saddened to hear about this was your experience. Like, we want to make this better. Maybe it's offering them a discount on an upcoming stay or an experience or something like that, or just taking the time to recognize them. I think that's a big piece.
Yeah, such good advice, and hard to do, because when we see negative comments, our knee-jerk reaction is just to freeze and want to hide from it. But
Yeah.
yeah, often just even taking a little bit of distance and then going back when you're feeling calm and less defensive and dealing with it is definitely the best way forward. Yeah,
Yeah.
brilliant advice. Now, my absolute last question, Ashley, is I'm sure everyone watching will want to learn more about you and your work. How can we find out more about you?
Yeah, I would love for you guys to connect with me on LinkedIn. It's just my name, Ashley Weinaug, or my website, ashley-weinaug. I'm also gearing up to launch a really fun passion project. So if you stay up to date on my LinkedIn, you will see that it's going to be launched this week, hopefully. So that will speak to hotels, to destinations, guides, things like that. So stay tuned for that. And then, of course, there's Instagram, my favorite platform. That's ashley.weinaug. But I would love to chat with you all, give any other advice. I do a ton of different things with clients. Social media is my go-to, but I also do mentorship. I do personal branding. I do a ton of different things. So I'm here for whatever you guys want to talk about.
Brilliant. Well, I'm very excited about your personal project, and I'll be including all of your details as well in the newsletter. Perhaps, hopefully, it will be launched by then with a link to your project as well, so people can easily find it. Well, Ashley, I just feel I could speak to you about this for
I
years.
know. I'm like, I want to talk about all the things.
Yeah, it's been so useful. I mean, social media is such a huge topic, but I really do feel that people will have got a lot of value out of this. So thank you a million. And thanks to our lovely audience. Thanks for your comments. And if you're watching this on replay, yeah, feel free to ask questions as well, and we'll do our best to help you. And sadly, the name isn't displaying here, just says LinkedIn user, but one of our audience says, thank you, very interesting and informative. I would definitely second that. So thank you, Ashley.
Thank
And,
you.
and thanks to everybody. And we'll see you next week on another Tour Pro Talks. Oh, and just ending with Gabor. Thank you very much. Thank you,
Thank
Gabor.
you. Have a great day, everyone.
Yep. Have a good day, everyone, too. Bye bye.
Bye.